South African High Court issues scathing ruling against the state for failing to act on Dudula. I'm sure you still remember last time that the South African High Court gave a ruling on this Dudula issue, and they were ordered that whatever that they were doing was illegal. Takaona, our sister Sandile, coming back and hitting back, lashing out at the court and undermining the court judgment. That was just a paper and so on and so forth. And then later on, of course, made a U-turn again over that. But it seems like the action really has not been taken on the ground. That is what has prompted the South African High Court to issue a scathing ruling on the state to act on this very problematic situation that is very, very prevalent in South Africa. So, Opal reports here that South African High Court issues a scathing ruling against the state for failing to stop xenophobic vigilante groups from blocking access to public health facilities in Johannesburg. In a judgment handed down on 4 December 2025, the Gauteng Division ordered national, provincial, and municipal authorities, as well as the police, to take immediate action to ensure unhindered access to clinics for all people, including undocumented migrants. The case was brought by the Treatment Action Campaign, Medicine Sans Frontiers, and Kopanang Africa against xenophobia after vigilantes were found to be turning away anyone without South African identity documents at the Yellowville and Rosetteville clinics. The court found that clinic staff and security guards had either stood by or effectively ceded control of access to the facilities to the vigilantes. Judge D.J. Wilson said this conduct amounted to a breakdown of the rule of law and a serious violation of the constitutional right to health care. In strongly worded remarks, the court described xenophobia as one of the greatest threats to the democracy and human rights in South Africa, stating that it feeds on hatred and misdirects public anger away from the real causes of poverty and inequality. The judge rejected arguments by health authorities and the police that responsibility lay elsewhere, ruling that the Constitution and the National Health Act impose a positive duty on the state to remove barriers to healthcare access. The court ordered the immediate removal of unauthorized individuals, blocking clinics, the deployment of adequate security, and proactive police intervention, as well as posting of notices warning that obstruction of healthcare services is unlawful. The state has been instructed to report back to the court on steps taken to comply with the order. The judgment is being widely viewed as a landmark affirmation that xenophobia cannot be allowed to override constitutional rights in South Africa. Part of the judgment read, xenophobia is one of the greatest threats to democracy and human rights we presently face. It feeds on the hatred of the other, is animated by fantasy, and in its practiced form is merely another kind of racism for white foreigners seldom have much to fear. If we can blame foreigners, we need to look to ourselves for our solutions to the poverty and inequality that scar our society. The case was heard on 25 November 2025 and the judgment was delivered on 4 December 2025. So this is an ongoing battle that we see in South Africa. Iri kuratidza iyo kungoti kune vanhu vakangooma musoro but kana mutemo kada kuti nyatsotedzerwa zvakanaka, like what we have always said, that it is very unfortunate if you are going to stop someone who has a contagious disease from getting treatment and then they come and meet your relative or even your kid and then they transmit that contagious disease to your relative or your loved one. Will you be able to understand that no, it was okay for my relative to die over an issue that could have been avoided? So while there are many problems in Southern Africa, the parties, the ruling parties especially, these liberation parties. They are supporting each other in all the wrongs. South African government has always stood with ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF killing people, ZANU-PF, Vashibirama elections and so on. But they've continued to support them, and that is one of the problems that we face, in the Zimbabwe nation. So we don't know how far this is gonna get to, but we'll keep watching to see what is gonna be the end result of this Dudula disturbance that continues to hound South Africa. We are seeing relations with the United States of America with soured so much. South Africa and America, they don't see eye to eye as we speak. And I should think these things like Governor Dudula, they are giving the people like Donald Trump, the energy to still stand and say that there is human rights abuses happening in South Africa. It's contributing to that. And at the end, when aid is cut and, other associations and other interactions and relations, they also affect the nation as a whole. So, in other words, they are just, South Africans are also to some extent shooting themselves in the foot while they are trying to avoid one big problem. They have some of their citizens that support, again, things that will continue to fuel such kind of problems that they are trying to avoid. Anyway, this is the situation on the ground, but we will keep watching and also praying against this spirit. I've always said that this is an evil spirit, and it just needs people to pray for the purpose of saving lives of those that could be endangered. This is what it is. But the rule of law must take its course. That nobody has a right to take the law into their own hands. It is actually a crime to take the law into your own hands. Let's watch and see what is going to be the outcome at the end of the day.